On the heels of the Travelers Championship, we head for Motown, the Rocket Mortgage Classic in Detroit this week, and probably torrid scoring, the likes of which we saw at TPC River Highlands. Let's get into it with the Golfbet Insider from PGATour.com, Rob Bolton. 23 under par or better, 4 of the 5 editions of this event at the Detroit Golf Club. And go low or go home, right, big fella?
Down the stretch they come towards the FedEx Cup playoffs. And I got to think that all of the guys, the 156 in the field at Detroit Golf Club this week, they wouldn't want a better way to display their talents than with a course that's ready to reward what they do best. It's a little bit like the old qualifying school out of PGA West. If you can play golf, if you can play, you're going to be able to score. And that's the vibe this week in Detroit. So many low scores have already been recorded on this place. And by the way, it's the 6th edition of the Rocket Mortgage Classic. I think it's finally a classic. I know I had some fun with that when it launched 5 years ago. Kind of like the Myrtle Beach Classic a couple of months ago. It's an inaugural classic. Fine, give it some time. We'll get there. We'll get there. They get a nice agreement there along the Atlantic there. But this week, finally a classic. It's in its second decade. Let's start there. But yeah, man. It's just as soon as the light turns green, you floor it and see what happens, and then shake hands at the end. That's this week and next week. So we have a fortnight of that type of competition straight ahead.
John Deere Classic, next week's stop in the Quad Cities. So it makes sense that you're identifying players who performed really well in Hartford, beginning with Tom Kim, number 1 in the power rankings. You push Scotty Scheffler to the brink, but you just can't beat Scotty Scheffler on Sundays. The man just does not blink. It just does not give you an ounce of breathing room. But Tom Kim played beautifully, and he heads for Detroit with a full head of steam, Rob, and he is the betting favorite on the board at plus 1,200 this week.
Who does Tom Kim think he is anyway, right? By the way, so there's been a lot made about Tom Kim and his 9th consecutive start. It's just a fact of the matter. He doesn't relax, doesn't rest. He's 22, so what else is he going to do anyway? I love that part of a young man's game before, he's I think he's set for life. And he's only 22, so he's way out ahead of that curve. I go back, though, to 2010 with Stuart Appleby. Stuart Appleby struggling. He wasn't assured of finishing inside the top 125, back then money, and played in 10 straight over May, June, and July. Ended up winning the Greenbrier Classic. And that win got him into the Bridgestone and then the PGA the following 2 weeks. So he played 13 in a row. He won in his 11th consecutive start. This is nothing. 9 in a row. Big deal. And he's 22 and he has nothing else to do. So, of course, he's going to be atop the power rankings after what he did last week. He had a 4th place finish, 4 starts ago. It's very simple. The odds are fine. Look, they're not Scheffler odds, but he's going to be the best on the board at, 12-1 right now as we're speaking for BetMGM. Hey, that's favorable. And he's the type of guy who can hit the ground running. He just did it last week. Came close, so he's still chasing that carrot that he hasn't tasted in a while. So I love the play in every format.
No one went lower than Camron Young last week. In fact, he's now one of just 12 players who has broken 60 on the PGA Tour. He did it on Saturday. And then he birdies his first 4 holes on Sunday. And I thought, wow, not only is he going to back it up, he may actually win for the first time on the PGA Tour. But he faded on Sunday. Understandable. Tied for 9th, but some of the best golf that Camron Young has played this season. Obviously, Rob, and the bettors and the markets agree. Plus 1,400 is the second choice on the board here.
The funny thing about the start on Sunday is that he was feeling that it's just more of the same. How do you follow up a 59? He's about to show you. It's understandable, sure. He was the only guy inside the top 15 with an overpower round, I think, in every round. Open was 72. He was. There was a no cut last week, but that's what that type of format shows you. You're that good, you can belong. But that's TPC River Highlands for you too. This week it's a par 72. You have 2 more par 5s. It's a stock setup. Yeah, man. The thing about Camron Young, the thing that scares me a little bit is that he has been too inconsistent I feel like he has the medal, but he's missing that extra something, missing that gear. Despite what happened on Saturday, I want to see it with the lights a little bit brighter. I want to see him with a little more stakes in the game when it comes to that. And obviously, that's what you get when you don't win on the PGA Tour. And obviously, he's playing in some of the deepest fields because of his because of where he is in the hierarchy. This isn't necessarily that, so it's a tremendous opportunity for him. I just hope that he leans into it a little bit more than we have seen him. 2 years ago he was the Rookie of the Year by a long. I mean, no one was close with the 5 runner-up finishes, and he hasn't really regressed from that. I mean, let's be fair about it. That's an incredible season. Need to see him win. That's where we are with the guy. So that's the only way he's really going to fulfill any expectation, because right now the board isn't going to reward you much, especially in a field of 156. It's going to be smart to invest elsewhere. Perhaps a fraction of a unit if you can't stay away, but divvy it else up another way.
That extra something that you described, I think Akshay Bhatia's got it. He knows how to win, man. 22 years of age, but with a lot of golfing experience in his lifetime. This is a kid who turned professional as a teenager. He's won twice. He understands what it takes on a PGA Tour Sunday. He just played with Scheffler on both weekend days last week at River Highlands, Rob, finishing 5th. He's high in the power rankings this week and getting some respect from the markets at 20-1 here.
Yeah, that's nice. And that's the guy I would lean into. You really set it up nicely there, Swanee. He's 6th in the power rankings. It feels a little bit low, and I'll be honest with you, but the trajectory is strong. The form is even better than that. And yeah, there's really no reason. I think it's just a matter of me coming from a conservative standpoint, wanting to see a little bit more. And then I look at the record, I look at the statistics. I watch him, the eye test. He's, check. What are you worried about? Not. And what the best thing about him is it wasn't that long ago, like within the last year, where he was basically identified as a guy who could play in the wind, tropical venues, and that is not that anymore. So he's super impressive, and he has a good head on his shoulders. And if anything, he's only 22. He hasn't gone through some of the same things the other guys have, but that hasn't mattered either. So I know I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth, but that's what he does to you when he's that good at such a young age, as you said, twice a winner. And he doesn't mind a shootout, and that's what we have this week. So, yeah, super impressive. He's the type of guy where you wouldn't be surprised if he strings together multiple win seasons, and we may be on the verge of this week. Already has 1 win earlier this year.
When Rickie Fowler won in Detroit last year, we all thought, finally, Rickie's back. It was a long, dry spell, struggled with his game, his confidence, but he looked like the old Rickie when he finally broke through in Detroit last year. And I have been as surprised as anyone, Rob, that he has not been able to follow that up with more consistent play this season. There were glimpses last week in Hartford. We watched him a lot on PGA Tour Live. He finished 20th, pretty respectable. There's going to be some casual bettors who are always going to be on Rickie, right? And those who are this week are going to get him at 40-1.
Yeah, what's surprising is that win a year ago in Detroit is his most recent top 10. We know so much about him. He's had an incredible career. He's in his prime at the moment. But he's balanced his life outside the ropes, and sometimes there's just a lot to maintain. He did what he needed to do in his 20s. Yes, he's still on the short list of best of his generation without a victory in a major. There is that void at the moment. But last year's, we see this so many times with certain guys who we know, they disappear, then they come back with a vengeance. Justin Rose winning the FedEx Cup, I mean, that was not something that anybody had on their bingo card at the beginning of that season, except for Justin Rose. And he sort of tailed off. It's still, glimmers. So when it comes down to what we do at Golfbet, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the power rankings are agnostic. So Fowler at number 15, it's a respect for him as a defending champion relative in this field. But I can't really endorse him at 40-1 or really anything longer than maybe even double that to win again. And it's just difficult to defend that you have that, layer to it. We want to see him play better. We expect him to play better, and he hasn't been. So it's one of those no plays. Good luck. Again, spread the units elsewhere. Be smart about it.
Sleeper content, outright winner, Maverick McNealy. I like it. He's been on a run of some nice form recently, Rob. plus 2,800. Those odds are kind of short. They struck me as kind of short for a non-winner, yeah?
Same. But again, it's the Rocket Mortgage Classic. Last week he might have been something like 60-1 or something to win that thing. He didn't play in it, but that's what you're going to get. So, the house is going to stay in business at that rate. And again, as a non-winner, this is the type of, we've had two non-winners in this event. Nate Lashley opened the event with a first-time win, and then Cam Davis broke through a couple years ago. So, yeah, it's possible. Certainly in a shootout, you never know what's going to happen. And what do we look at? We look at a guy who's in form and is a tremendous putter, and that's Maverick McNealy. So, ignore the odds. It's more of a traditional sleeper in terms of a guy that hasn't won, deserves it. The attention will play very well on this course. He's a tremendous fit for PGA Tour Fantasy Golf if you're looking to avoid a cut missed, which is pivotal this week. It's going to be a churn week in that format. And again, I just for the people, a sleeper outright has not won yet in 2024. But this is the kind of week where it makes a little bit more sense because of the randomness of the event.
Not yet.
Not yet. Keyword.
Top 10 prop. You're on Troy Merritt at plus 900. He's only had one top 10 this season. However, this is the time of year, if you're sort of a golf nerd and you're really dug into the players down the FedEx Cup list, this man meets the challenge of crunch time late in the season. We're not quite there yet. We've got, 7 events until the regular season to try and make the playoffs. But this is a guy who, when his back is up against the wall, Rob, he seems to perform.
Yeah, I opened the show by saying down the stretch they come. It's more like the final lap. They still got a couple of turns ahead, but yeah, that's on the horizon. These guys that have not played regularly for a couple, 3 months, this is their time to show up, or it's going to be more time in the FedEx Cup fall. Still waiting the release of that schedule, but Merritt has always delivered. It seems like about once a month, guys like him, Chesson Hadley, these guys, they enter a consciousness as, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's because he always delivers. And Troy Merritt, he's kind of that poster boy. Doug Gim is another guy, but Doug Gim is fine this year. He's had a really nice 5-week stretch early in the year, and I like Doug Gim this week. But Merritt, 4 straight top 20s, the last 4 editions, the one top 10, that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's about right now, what's ahead. The fact that he's outside the top 125, obviously this is top 70, make the playoffs. But this is the time of year for Troy Merritt to show up. Northern kid, grass is more familiar. It's POA, bent blend. This is more of his climate. That's not a huge factor, but it certainly doesn't hurt. It may be a reason why he does perform well in the Midwest. That has some correlation. But in a field, when we're looking for a sleeper's top 10, let's go with Troy Merritt at 9-1. That makes a lot of sense to me.
You're endorsing Chandler Phillips for a top 20 prop here this week. I like this kid. He's really fun. He was on the podcast earlier in the year. He's a real free spirit. He's got a joy for the game, the way he plays. And he's played quite well. 6 top 25s in his rookie season. In fact, you've got a little metric that you have built, which has identified him as the best rookie without a victory this season. I like that. And for a top 20, you're getting Chandler Phillips at plus 350 this week. Not bad.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. I follow the rookies on X every week. It's an update, and you got Matthew Pavone, you got Jake Knapp, and you have Nick Dunlap, 1, 2, 3 currently. It's a subjective ranking. There's nothing mathematical to it. And then Chandler Phillips is sitting there right at number 4. But I do follow. It's for anybody who likes to follow the rookies on the PGA Tour, currently 29 of them. At some point, Michael Thorbjornsen will join that list, likely in the FedEx Cup fall, unless he wins, of course, before that. And then it's just a matter of time, potentially getting the playoffs, all those sorts of nuance. But right now, Phillips, another Midwest connected kid with the right fit, the right form, and he's comfortable right now in terms of keeping his job at the end of the year. So now his focus is singular to get to the FedEx Cup playoffs, but he doesn't even need a win to get inside that bubble right now. So just keep the motor going, and he's going to continue to play regularly, and a kind of guy who's been able to navigate the season. It's been real choppy with terms of playing time. It's been difficult, And it's always been difficult in the spring and early summer with some of the courses because they're really difficult as well. He's been able to navigate that. It's been impressive. He has the right balance. I know yes, free spirit is one thing, but he's a really good balance in his life, and I think that's really rewarded him. It's come through in terms of his performances week after week. So again, we're looking at 3.5 to 1 plus 350 U.S. market for top 20. That again, very tasty right now in this particular week on a board that has a lot of value, and he's right there at the top of it.
Read Rob Bolton's terrific work, PGATour.com in the golf bet space. Follow him on X at Rob Bolton Golf. 2 of our 4 Mets-Cubs bets have been closed out in Big Swan's favor. It's, as Edwin Diaz might say, it's a sticky situation for you for the rest of the year just to get a split, big fella.
I love the fact that from my perspective, that what happened on the mound before he didn't even throw a pitch. Right. And it really spoiled your 2 wins, at least from your fans' perspective. You have that, and he'll come back. But, it's weird rooting for a tie now, and the Cubs are not good right now. So I'm already starting to shop. I've already done some shopping, and it's not even July 1st. Not even the All-Star break yet, man. So, but yeah, I mean, I created this. I said you'd like it, and you like it. So
I do.
I guess I was right.
We'll talk to you next week for the John Deere Classic. Look forward to it, big fella.
All right, pal. See you then.